indeed.
So DMMDestroyer, thank you for joining us. I'll ask you, I guess, the first question. What are your overall thoughts of the last year worth of debates, about 50 of them? And then feel free to ask Dr. Kent, the science gent, an evolution-related question. DMM, go ahead.
Well, gentlemen, it's an honor to be able to talk to you all this evening. Dr. Kent, I have been following you for well over a decade. I watched your entire creation seminar, and that was very enjoyable to see that way back in the day. Provided a lot of answers for gaps and questions that I think myself and many other Christians from the early internet days had. And I'm still... I still can't believe what they did. I mean, I know you've been talking in depth on your channel about your time while you were away. And I'm so thankful to God that you were able to get out of that and that you were able to come through and be a greater witness to everyone as a result. So I just wanted to say that, first of all. And I want to say that as far as this year goes, I was able to find your channel, Donnie, through Kent. And through all these debates that you guys have been having. And I haven't been able to catch every single one of them, but they've been very informative. And there's been a lot of bruised egos, I would say, that I've observed from the side trying to defend the position of evolution. And it's quite disappointing because they come in with it as an absolute truth when the subject matter is it's on trial, and the information provided is just the same things and rhetoric that we've seen time and time again. And I think Kent has had to repeat himself a million times over with his refuting. So it's kind of a never-ending cycle of having to repeat the same information, but it is necessary. And I do look forward to you guys doing 100 more in this year, if time permits. And this is the end of the road.
We'll do one every single day if we've got enough evolutionists to take the challenge, right, Cap?
Amen. He said he's been following me for 10 years. That made me reminded me that so has the KGB, the IRS, the FBI. They're all following me, brother. But while I was in prison, I wrote 37 books, and you can get those on our channel, drdino.com. The one I did on the prison system called The Kennel, I would encourage you to give this to anybody you know in jail, or anybody you know in a police force, or judges, or any politician. It's a little simple book. I wrote it under a false name. I'm embarrassed. I had to go to jail to figure out the whole jail system should not exist. Under God's law, the punishments are fine them. You steal my sheep, you pay back 4 sheep. Everybody's happy. Man, I got 3 new sheep. Do it again. But now you steal my sheep, you go to jail for 5 years, and I got to pay to feed you for 5 years in jail. This is dumb. So there's fines and there's beatings. I asked 1,000 guys. Randy, you were in with me for 9 months in jail. He's now our tech guy here. I asked 1,000 guys this simple question from my book, a survey I did. If you were given an option after trial, they said, you're guilty, no question, you're guilty. Yes, Your Honor, I'm guilty. Here's your choice. You want 5 years in prison or 20 lashes? 999 of them said, I'll take the lashes. One guy said, I don't have a job out there, I'll just stay here. Okay. Under the Bible, you fine them or you beat them or you kill them. For certain crimes, they just ought to be executed. I mean, if somebody rapes your daughter, he goes to prison for 20 years. She's now got to worry about him getting out 20 years later, and you'd like to wring his neck for 20 years. You don't have any peace and satisfaction. You ought to watch him hang. For certain crimes, people just ought to be executed. Fine them, beat them, or kill them. That's the biblical method. At least make it an option. But see, congressmen and senators and police can own stock in the prison system. So the more people they lock up and the longer they lock them up, the more money they get on their investment. Get my book, The Kennel. Then I wrote my book about end times with my chart behind me here. So I don't want to go again, but those 9 years in prison, I tried to use them for the Lord. I led 800 men to the Lord. And I think if you end up going, use it for the Lord. Okay?
Amen,
Absolutely.
brother. He that winneth souls is wise. So that is a blessing right there. I'm sorry, DMM, go ahead if you had a follow-up.
Yeah, I wanted to say that absolutely. And thankfully, in the millennial reign, we'll have proper justice. So we don't have to worry about this man-made issue that we've had in recent years, in the last couple hundred or so. But what I wanted to ask was something I want to advise all of you guys on to keep on your radar. As more and more informed people start coming on and properly having ammunition for their debate, I believe the topic of quantum physics and quantum mechanics are going to start becoming more prevalent. And at the same time, I see that it's been avoided by your guys' opposition. It seems to be that as more and more science progresses, actual science that is, provable science, that creation is inevitable. And quantum physics absolutely breaks all barriers of what is preconceived. And we are learning that what Einstein had already spoken about is being proven today. For example, there was the Nobel Prize 2022 winners, physicist John Clauser, Alan Aspect, Anton Zellinger, that proved that reality is not locally real. And there are things with quantum mechanics and quantum physics, like, for example, the superstate positions, where in normal computing you can either have a 1 or a 0. With quantum, you can have both at the same time, which completely just breaks all the barriers. I've had people straight up tell me that had computer science degrees and other degrees say that, well, this isn't real, this is just theories, when you've got all these multi-billion-dollar corporations installing quantum servers and systems and using them every day.
Are you familiar with Dr. Jason Lyle?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, so he's got a website called the Biblical Science Institute, and he addresses this in depth. And there's different type, there's philosophical arguments of why certain things like quantum physics are only consistent with the biblical worldview, because you have these like a plurality of things that are unified, working in unison. So what is it that makes that happen? And if the critics, their job is to explain reality independently from God. Well, I want to know what unifies these, quantum waves or these quantum particles or whatever these things are, right? And if they're not able to explain that, then they haven't done their job. There's nothing about quantum physics that's incompatible with the biblical worldview.
Right.
And I'm going to jump in here real quick. I appreciate that point and question on quantum mechanics. Sam, I appreciate the response.